Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our 9-month Ultimate World Cruise adventure. Well, today we are touring the Canary Islands by car. We go to the highest mountains and we go down into the deepest caves.
Welcome to Living Phase 2.
Hi, I'm Mike,
And I'm Nancy, and we're empty nesters striving to live life to the
and we're
fullest.
living that full life aboard Royal Caribbean's 9-month Ultimate World Cruise on Serenade of the
We
Seas.
are, well, friends, we're up to days 184 to 186, and we're here in Tenerife in the Canary Islands. And it is pronounced either Tenerife or Tenerife, depending on where you're from. Both pronunciations are correct.
Yeah.
So we are off the west coast of Africa on one of the most visited islands of Micronesia here. Now, Tenerife is a territory of Spain, and so it's a Spanish colony. And so we feel like we're in Europe now. There are over 5 million visitors that come here to this island, and they have a population of about 1 million.
Now, continentally, we actually are still part of the African continent,
We are.
but then geopolitically, we're part of Spain. So,
Yes.
like you said,
One of those combination
yeah, it's weird.
countries
We're in Europe and Africa at the
stops.
same time. But well, the reason we are here and having an overnight, which we love our overnights, we're so thrilled that we get to
Yes.
stay the night here, is that we did have some rerouting. If you remember, we mentioned this in some previous videos. We originally had one stop in Ghana, then we had two. We originally had a stop in Ivory Coast, and then it was canceled. So with all those gyrations, Royal Caribbean added a second day here in the Canary Islands in Tenerife, and it's just wonderful.
I'm so glad they did. Yeah, this
Yeah,
was a lovely
we had
stop.
such a and this is a city, this is an island. You need to have that extra time and be able to actually enjoy some of the nightlife as well, as you'll see we really did later. Well, originally we really didn't have anything planned here. We were just going to wing it, get off, walk around the city. The ship's docks in the Santa Cruz area on the northeast side of the island. But I did a little research, looked into it a little bit, and I found this amazing tour that I really wanted to take, which was exploring some of the lava tubes. Tenerife is a volcanic island, much like the Hawaiian Islands, and I found that tour and went, wow, this is really neat. Well, how do we get down there? Oh, looks like we could rent a car. I did some more research and found out that rental cars are actually very affordable here in the Canary Islands, and I picked a company called Cicar. Sounds like cigar, but it's Cicar, and they have a rental car agency right at the port. We booked a car and decided that we would drive down to take this tour of the lava tubes. Well, we had a couple friends decide to join us in our rental car. We got up in the morning, got off the ship after we docked.
7:30, yeah,
Yeah,
bright and early.
nice and early. The rental car place opened at 8 o'clock. It's an easy 15-minute walk or so from the ship to the rental car place there in the harbor, in the port. Got our car, no problems at all. Nice new car, spacious. It would easily fit four people.
And they drive on the right side of the road,
Yes,
so
that
it was
makes it
very
easy.
easy.
Yep. And I got to drive a car after not driving for 6 months on the world cruise.
You were enjoying
Yeah,
that.
it was nice to kind of stretch my car legs again. And I even said to everyone, boy, I hope I can remember how to drive. And we took off with no problems. We did have to put some gas in the car, and then we went on our way. Well, the first thing we did is climb up from the seashore up into the mountains. And it is very mountainous here in Tenerife. And it was kind of a misty, cloudy day. And we're driving up and up and up. And we get to
But
the
it's
pine forest.
beautiful. The smell, it was just so fresh. The flowers were blooming, and so we were just loving every moment of it as we were climbing up and climbing through the clouds, and then we popped through the clouds, and
Uh-huh.
oh my goodness, was it incredible. We wished we would have packed a picnic lunch to just stop here and then just enjoy all the beauty.
Yeah, it was like almost being on an airplane. We were above the cloud layer. We could see TD, the volcano off in the distance. This truly was one of the most spectacular views we have had on this entire world cruise. We stopped the car, which, by the way, is one of the great things about touring on your own and having your own car and not being tied to a particular tour. because we could just stop as many times as we want.
At any
We could
lookout we wanted.
and stay as
Yes.
long as we wanted. And we did. We just, every time we saw a beautiful place, it's like I'd slam on the brakes and pull over to the side of the road. And it's like, okay, picture time. And we'd get out and just absorb the view and enjoy it. Because we had the reservation for the lava tube, but that wasn't until 12:30. And we knew about how long it was to go over there. And we did. We just enjoyed that whole drive.
We did. Well, we had thought about taking a gondola up the volcanic mountain there, but we had decided as we're driving along, the gondola would take us above that cloud layer, which was what we were seeing. We decided we really wouldn't get
We'd just see more tops of clouds.
Yeah, that we wouldn't get any other views. So
Yeah.
we skipped the gondola.
We did. And as we drove toward the volcano, though, we got to see some of the amazing geological formations, like one area they call the layer cake, and you can see where all the different eruptions had happened in the layers of lava. And driving along, again, happy accident, we stumbled across the Volcano Visitor Center, and that was really a fun stop.
That was a neat place to go into to learn more about the island. And as we're going into it, okay, again, I'm geeking out over the flowers, and you're geeking out over other things. But they had these flowers. I don't know what they're called. Terry and I were calling them cone flowers because huge, tall cones, as tall as we are, 6 feet, 7 feet tall, of these beautiful
I almost think they were
flowers.
part of a yucca plant, like the center of a yucca or something. But
Possibly.
yeah, they were very beautiful.
Yeah, lots of lizards were running around, and so it was
Spiders. Your favorite.
Too. Yeah. But anyway, we went inside the visitor center, and they had a little 10-minute movie there.
Yeah, it was actually narrated by Anthony Hopkins. He played the TD, the volcano god, and and it was really good. It gave you a history of the volcano, the island, how it was formed, how the whole area, how people have lived on the island. No, that was a good 10-minute movie. The lady at the visitor center was super friendly and helpful, and I think she's almost just happy to have people stop by. She seemed a little lonely, but no, we stayed there for a little while. And then we looked at the time, and that's when we actually made the decision and said, listen, where we're at, we're seeing the tops of the clouds, and we just really don't have time to go up the cable car to the top of the volcano. Plus, just a FYI, a round trip ticket on that cable car, it's an 8-minute ride, is 40 euros per person. So it's a little expensive to go up there. So if you're going to do it, you really need to almost make a day of it and do some hiking up there. And there's trails
the hiking
and things.
Seem to be well marked up there. Lots of maps, and that'd be just beautiful if you had time.
Yeah, and from that Volcano Visitor Center, there's tons of trails. So if you are into hiking, bring a good pack, lots of water, and and really you can enjoy hiking all throughout the Tenerife. The hiking ability was amazing. So we decided to head on over to where the lava tube tour was at. We headed over to that town, and we got there about an hour early. We checked in. They said, okay, you're a little early. Come back 15 minutes before the tour. And we hadn't had any lunch or anything. We asked about that. She said there was a little market up the street, and we went up there, and that was really nice.
The market was really very, very small, but very sweet. It's just one aisle. You just walked in, and what you see in that one aisle is what they have. But they had some fresh meats and cheeses that she sliced right there for you, and we got a loaf of bread to share, and I got a fresh peach, which was absolutely delicious. But we took those items and then went back to our car, just opened up the tailgate of the car, and had our little picnic overlooking the beautiful valley below.
Yeah, it was really nice. And that, that took up the 45 minutes. We had a light snack. We had that little meat and cheese. It was really good. But then we had to get up. It was time to take our tour. So now the actual place, it's run by the Spanish government. It's called Cueva del Vente, and which is Cave of the Winds, I believe, if my Spanish translation's correct. And we registered, we got in, and they geared us up. They gave us the helmets. They gave us some safety instructions. And then we watched a couple little movies while they educated us on how lava vents are formed, how these were formed, how the Canary Islands were formed, the different volcanoes. And our guide, we could already tell, was just exceptional. He was
passionate.
Oh, yes, and knowledgeable. And yeah, it was really good. And so then what we did is we got in some vans. They drove us up to an area where the entrance to the lava tubes are. We got out, and then we went on a small forest hike. So there is, just to be aware, there is quite a bit of walking, quite a bit of hiking, quite a bit of uphill on this on this tour, so just be physically ready. And you also need to make sure you're wearing the proper clothing, closed-toed shoes, long pants. I would recommend a long sleeve shirt.
I would too, because it gets a little chilly down in the cave underground, and hiking boots, because once you get in those caves, it's rough. It's not a paved path inside the caves.
Yeah, so it's a natural lava tube, which means you're walking on what the Hawaiians call lava, which they would say that because you step on it with a barefoot, it's and it's very
spiky,
pokey and spiky. In fact, the guide said they go through 3 to 4 pairs of hiking boots a year because it just tears them up and works them out. So a couple little pro tips there if you do take this on clothing. Well, I thought the guide was interesting. Before we went down in the tube, he actually stopped and made a little model in the dirt of what lava tubes look like, what the other lava flows look like, how you would identify and find a lava tube. And again, it's just wonderful.
And they find it by looking at the trees, because some trees will grow on the lava tubes and others will not.
Right. So then we hiked up the mountain quite a bit. There was a nice trail, kind of cobblestone trail that had been built up to it. And then our guide, as we're getting very close to the lava tube, he kind of stomps his foot and it sounds like a hollow water or a ripe watermelon. Yeah, thump, 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 thump. And you stomp your feet, and he looks and he goes, "Don't do that." He goes, "At least not everyone do it at once." And we laugh, and he goes, "No, I'm serious. Don't stomp on the ground." And we found out later he was very serious, because the tops of the lava tubes, the ceilings, are very close to the ground. And then he actually showed us where a lava tube had collapsed. That's how they discovered this one. And quite some time ago, I believe it was a couple hundred years ago, a lady actually did fall down into the tube at that collapse. She did survive, but they don't have much more information than that. And then that led to a discovery of this whole network of lava tubes. Now, the Canary Islands actually have the second largest, I believe, network of lava tubes. They have the 5th longest. Well, technically right now it's the 6th longest lava tube, because during COVID, the Hawaiians found some more legs of one of their lava tubes that made theirs number 5.
They have the largest network.
Yes, in the Hawaiian Islands. But our guide said, "Oh, but we found more in our lava tubes, so now we're going to get back to number 5." And so they have some huge networks of lava tubes. You can see that in the picture here. And we hiked on into where the staircase is down into the tube itself.
Yeah, so we went down into the tubes, and it just starts to get fascinating. Now, the whole tour, they told us, we're only going about 200 meters in and 200 meters back out. But there's so much information along the way, and so many stops and things he wanted to share with us, that it actually felt like we were going in a lot further than what we did. One of the things you're going to see here on the right or in the picture is they've got a quality air control vent to make sure that there's plenty of oxygen. Now there's, I think he said 7 skylights or vent tubes in this lava tube, so there's plenty of airflow, and you could feel the air circulation as you're down there.
But when you go into a natural lava tube, although this one's not natural, but you go into one that's unexplored, that is one of the biggest risks. That's the number one risk is carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide poisoning, because you don't get fresh airflow in there. Additionally, we mentioned how close we are to the surface. It feels like you're hundreds of feet deep.
It does feel like you're just getting deeper and deeper and deeper, because you keep walking down and down and down. But actually, you're following the mountainside as you're going down. The lava was flowing down the mountainside, and so you're still only about 18 inches to 6 feet below ground is all. You're just following the mountainside down.
Right. And our guide said that they've kept this lava tube, he said, about 95% natural. And now the things they've added that are not natural, you can see they actually did put some reinforcing spikes up into the ceiling, because you can see some of the ceiling has collapsed. And in fact, large chunks of the ceiling in some areas have collapsed. So they put some spikes up there to retain that. A couple of places they put some metal stairs where it would have been very difficult to navigate, and then they blocked the ends of the lava tube off. One is where that collapse is we mentioned earlier. That's what you actually hike to, is back to that collapse point where you can see the skylight through there. And then the other end of the tube, they've put in a metal door so nobody sneaks down there and tries to go into the other areas of the lava tube. They're actually doing research back in there, and one of the reasons that they have that blocked off is there are natural cave and lava tube creatures back there that have no ability to see sunlight. They live 100% in the dark, and so they're doing research on those, and they don't want people going back in there and disturbing that wildlife or insects, etc. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed the lava tube.
You were geeking out over that.
Yeah, and well, Nancy, I'm kind of I love this kind of thing, the underground, the caves. But what about yourself? Would you recommend it?
I actually really enjoyed it, and I found it very fascinating. I enjoy this type of activity where I can learn something new, and you're using all your senses. It's touch and smell, and it's all very very fascinating to learn something new about lava tubes that I hadn't known before.
Yeah, well, it was time for us to start heading out of the lava tube, but I did think it was funny as we're going out. He had us line up along one side of the wall, and he had to put our hands on the wall. And he says, "Okay, we're going to try something." And he told everyone to turn off their headlamps, which now it is absolutely pitch black. You literally can't see your hand an inch from your face. It's as dark gets. And he goes, "Okay." He goes, "We're going to show you how you can use your senses to walk out in the dark." And he goes, "Keep a hand."
We're close to the opening, so.
Yeah. And he goes, "Okay." And everyone keep their hand on the wall here, and on 3, everyone take a step. And he goes, 1, 2, 3, and he turns his light back on and he laughs. And he goes, "You were really going to do it, weren't you?"
You know what though? Because we trusted him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unlike in Angola, where our anxiety was getting higher and higher, and we were getting more and more scared.
Yeah.
This gentleman had instilled so much trust in us that we felt very confident in his hands, although pitch dark walking out.
Over lava,
We'll try it.
But it was fun. And then we crawled up out of the, it took the stairs up out of the lava tube, and we hiked on it.
And we were all laughing. And he said, he goes, "I'm going to take you in laughing, and I'm going to take you out laughing." Yes. And he fulfilled that promise.
He did. Well, on the way out, we hiked a different route back to where the buses were going to pick us up. It was quite fascinating. He showed us how the people used to live here, the original inhabitants of the Canary Islands. They did tiered farming. They built threshing circles, and you can see some old remnants of the houses they built out of lava. Now, it's interesting. A lot of those people left the Canary Islands during hard times, and they went to the United States, actually. And the friends that we were touring, if they live in San Antonio, Texas, there is a group of people that immigrated there from the Canary Islands and in San Antonio, and every year they have a Canary Islands Day. So all these little connections around the world, it was very interesting to learn that. But we got back on the buses, headed back over to the visitor center where we checked in, and then we headed out to our next destination. But no. I would highly recommend, if you have any interest at all in nature, in the volcanic formation of the Canary Islands, it's a good tour. Take this tour.
It was very well done. Yes.
Yeah, and it was only, I think it was 20 euros a person, so very affordable as well. But you must make reservations. Go online. We'll put a link to their website in the description, so take a look at that, and you can get that booked in advance because they only take a few people down there at a time.
Right.
Well, then we headed off to our next town because we were getting a little peckish. We wanted a cup of coffee, maybe a little snack. We weren't going to have lunch because we knew we were kind of planning on a big dinner, and we headed off to Garchico.
Now, this was a charming town. It was not really touristy, but it's for tourists there. And so the first thing we did was we stopped at a little coffee shop, a little gelato shop. We had delicious gelato, and we had a latte there. And so just a chance to sit down and just kind of regroup. And it overlooked the ocean, but it overlooked these natural water pools where the water pools, people would go in and they'd swim. They'd have ladders that you could climb in and out of the water pools, and so that was neat to see.
Yeah, all formed by the volcanic rock, and that was what a great resource for this town. These lava pools that you can just go swimming in. And well, after viewing those lava pools and our gelato, we walked into the main part of town. You did a little bit of shopping. We went to the main church square. We saw the cathedral. cathedral, which was beautiful. Now it was
We
closed.
yeah,
We
we
couldn't go
didn't
in.
go in, but the outside was very pretty.
Hmm.
And I thought then the convent that was across the way from the
Hmm.
cathedral, I thought was absolutely stunning on the
Hmm.
outside.
Hmm.
Just beautiful with the palm trees that they had growing out
Hmm.
there. So neat to
Yeah.
see.
And they had families and children just playing in the town square, and there was even a guy playing guitar there in the square. I
Yeah,
mean,
it
it
was.
just felt like you were in a little Spanish
It
town, you
did.
know?
It did. It was
Yeah.
so neat to see.
Well, we left the town square and we walked around the island a little, or the town a little bit,
Hmm.
and we did a little bit of shopping. We actually stopped in a little grocery store and picked up. They have some different sauces that they're very famous for here. We picked up a little 3-pack of that to share at dinner, and then we decided, let's get in the car. Our goal was to kind of drive all the way around the island. We wanted to circumnavigate the island, and we knew on the south side that there were some resorts and things, so we kind of headed down to the south side of the
Yeah,
island.
that was our next destination. And so resorts they are. These are big mega resorts, the all-inclusive resorts. I'm sure you can get some that aren't all-inclusive.
Hmm.
But wow, now this is the touristy area if you want to come here and experience this. And
Hmm.
I thought it'd be kind of neat to come here, but I wouldn't want to limit myself to the resorty area.
Hmm.
I'd want to get out and experience more of what the island has to offer because some of these small towns on the island are just so quaint. But
Hmm.
we saw the Hard Rock was down there and just various ones, but
Yeah.
they looked beautiful.
Yeah, it almost reminded me of someplace like Clearwater, Florida. I mean, with
It
big
did.
hotels
Yes.
and you had all the Del Sols and the shops, and it was
Uh-huh.
kind of things you see in many resort towns. But you can see why this is the playground for Europe. People from Europe come here just like we would go to Florida or maybe to some of the Caribbean islands, or yeah, and this was certainly the big resort area. Well, we left that area, decided, and we drove on up the east side of the island, and now we're getting later in the day, and we started looking around. Well, we done some research and found a particular restaurant that we decided we wanted to try. We actually got onto Google reservations, and you in the back seat of the car there just went and reserved us a table.
Which actually was a good thing that I did because
Yeah.
they were pretty full.
Yeah,
and
they
they
were.
didn't open till 8 o'clock at night. So I think people eat a lot later there.
Well,
than
we're in
what-
Spain.
That's right.
So-
than what we normally eat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so be ready for that.
Yes.
And remember that dinners can take 2 to 3 hours or longer. Once you sit at a table in a restaurant, it is your table all night. So that is something different from us in the United States, where many restaurants want to flip a table, turn a table, get more people in. The restaurant that we picked was
it was La Casona del Vino, so the
Yeah.
House of Wine
Yeah.
here. And boy, this was good. So we had the reservations and sat down at our table. The first thing they brought us out some delicious bread that was warm, fresh out of the oven. And then our appetizers, we had various tapas. And we just honestly asked the server,
The
what do
owner.
you recommend?
Yeah.
What do you recommend? And she would tell us the different things. We had a baked cheese appetizer that was
tapas,
just,
yeah.
or yeah, tapas, yes,
Yeah.
because we're in Spain, so
Yeah.
tapas. And it was so good. And we had other appetizers as well. But our main dish was a duck and rice dish. And again, we all looked at each other as, it's like home cooking. It was yummy.
Yeah, we all shared it out of
Yeah.
a big cast iron skillet and just had a glass of wine and just enjoyed the company. We were there about 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours, and it just was excellent. We enjoyed that so
desserts
much.
there
Oh,
that-
the desserts!
We had a fig ice cream and kind of a molten lava cake and a tres leche.
Oh, that tres leche was exceptional.
all
yeah,
good.
and even I didn't think I'd like the fig ice cream, but it was homemade ice cream and it was really good. So we cannot recommend La Casona del Vino enough. So, well, we wrapped up our desserts. We drove back in. Oh, by the way, this restaurant is about 10 kilometers outside of town, so you either have to have a car or get a taxi or something of that nature to get to it. But I do think it's worth the drive. And headed back to the port, and right there at the port was the rental car agency. Now they were closed, but they have a night drop, so that's easy enough. You just fill out the form, put it in an envelope, and put it away just like any rental car place. And about a 15-minute walk back to the ship from there. Got back to the ship about 11:30, and we headed to bed because we are going to explore again the next day.
We are, but we're just going to kind of do it on our own. So the next day we actually slept in a little bit. And after we had breakfast, we got off the ship and we took the shuttle off of the ship. Pro tip.
Don't
You
take the
don't
shuttle.
take the shuttle. It would be much easier for you just to walk from the ship to the city center. And the city center is where we wanted to catch the tram.
Hmm.
Our plan was to go to the little town of La Laguna. It's a very old, historic, charming town. And so we needed to catch the tram to do that. And
Hmm.
once we got to the city center, it was €2.70 for a round trip ticket. So we got
Hmm.
two of those round trip tickets, caught the tram, about a
Hmm.
40-minute ride to La Laguna.
And the nice thing is, it's the very last stop on the tram ride, so you
Uh-huh.
really can't miss it. It's where
That's
the tram
right.
stops, yeah. And the ticket machines also, just as a point, were very easy to use. There's a little button for English.
Yes.
They take credit cards, so you just put in what you want, and that was super easy to do too. Well, we arrived in La Laguna on the tram, and now be aware that La Laguna is at a bit of a higher altitude, so the weather can be a little cooler up here. We weren't necessarily dressed to be ready for that. It was a little light, but we powered through it. But just, you may want to dress a little warmer if you're coming up here to La Laguna. And then we walked over to the Cathedral Square, about 5-minute walk, and just a gorgeous town. Tons of pedestrian streets and walking and little alleyways and everything.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful, just charming. We saw the outside of the cathedral. To go inside, there is a charge of, I don't, €7 or €8 to go into that. So be prepared. So then we just continued walking along the streets. I found a little newsstand and picked up a couple of crafting magazines that had crochet and counted cross stitch. And since those patterns are universal, I can read them. And so I got those. And we continued walking. We found a larger supermarket.
Yeah, so I went in and we picked up some snacks. We have a pub crawl coming up, and we like to get some snacks to share for that on the ship, just some chips or something. And it's, as we always say, it's interesting to see what supermarkets are like in different countries.
is.
And
It's fun to poke around those.
Well, after leaving the supermarket, we headed on through some of the pedestrian streets and just wandered around and enjoyed the views and decided we wanted a little lunch. But being in Spain, we decided to have a tapas lunch. So we sat down. I had a glass of wine. You had a Diet Coke. And we had some wonderful tapas. We had a foie gras toast, a goat cheese toast, some meat and cheese.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful.
Delicious.
And just, it was on one of the town squares, and we did people watching. And that is really one of the great things about Europe, is just enjoying something like
and
that.
to eat outside is one of my favorite things to do. But,
Yeah.
but after that, it was time. We all aboard, I think, was 2:30. So it was time to head back to the ship. So we went back to the tram, caught our 40-minute tram ride back, and then walked about the 20 minutes to the ship and got back in plenty of time. But that was a lovely day.
Yeah. So, Nancy, Tenerife, the Canary Islands. Would you come back to the Canary
Oh,
Islands?
it'd be fun. I'd really enjoy coming and spending a few days. To me, this would be a very relaxing vacation. You could do things like the lava tubes and spend time at the beach and explore different areas of the island. But this would be a relaxing vacation to come to.
You can really see why the Canary Islands are, it's their Florida, right? It's
is
their
their Hawaii.
It's their Hawaii, where they come from Europe to spend their vacation time here, and you can see why it is a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. I agree. And again, many cruise ships stop here, especially if you're on a transatlantic cruise from the U.S. You're probably going to stop in the Canary Islands, and if you are, you're very fortunate. So
Absolutely.
maximize your time here, because it's really good. Well, then we had a sea day as we're getting ready to go to. Now we're going from Spain to the United Kingdom. We're going to Gibraltar, so the southernmost point of continental Europe. Mostly. And in here, we get to climb to the top of the rock, and we get to see some monkeys, and we just have a nice British fish and chips lunch.
We did. So come back and see us for that, friends. We will see you very soon. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.